How many times have you watched a video about personal finance, looked at your monthly savings account statement, and wondered, what are the ultra-wealthy actually doing with their cash that the rest of us are missing? According to the latest Revenue and Customs and Office for National Statistics data, entering the top 1% of income earners in the United Kingdom now requires an individual annual salary of at least £207,000. If you look at total net worth, breaking into the top 1% requires an absolute minimum of £4.4 million in personal wealth. But here is the fascinating reality. The secret to managing money like the top 1% has almost nothing to do with having a massive salary, and it has everything to do with behavioral psychology and structural execution. While the average person manages their finances by earning a salary, paying their bills, and saving whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month, the wealthy operate on a completely inverted framework. They treat their personal finances like a highly efficient corporate machine, ruthlessly hunting down tax drag, prioritizing asset velocity, and buying back their time. Today, I am pulling back the curtain on the private wealth playbook. I am going to give you the ultimate 5-pillar breakdown of how the top 1% manage their money, how they structure their assets, and the exact steps you can copy right now to multiply your wealth regardless of your current income level. Welcome back to the Money Mad. Let's look at the elite strategies. Pillar 1 is adopting the corporate entity mindset for personal wealth. The average person views themselves purely as an employee or a consumer. When they receive a pay rise, they immediately celebrate by upgrading their lifestyle. Buying a new car on finance or booking a luxury holiday. They think of their money in a straight line. Work, get paid, spend. The top 1% do not view themselves as consumers. They view themselves as a business. They treat their personal household exactly like a chief financial officer manages a FTSE 100 corporation. Your salary or your business revenue is not your personal spending money. It is capital meant for corporate allocation. Wealthy individuals establish a clear institutional barrier between their earning power and their living costs. They systematically control their personal overheads so that they can maintain a massive structural surplus. That surplus is immediately treated as working capital and redirected into income-generating entities, holding companies, or tax-advantaged investment wrappers. To manage money like the elite, you have to stop asking, what can I buy with this money? And start asking, how hard can this capital work to purchase my future freedom? Pillar 2 is the ruthless war against tax drag and the optimization of legal wrappers. If you want to join the financial elite, you must understand that your single greatest lifetime expense is not your mortgage, your childcare, or your lifestyle. It is taxation. For a top 1% earner in the UK making over £200,000, the tax system is aggressively hostile. Between the 60% effective stealth tax trap at £100,000 and the 45% additional rate band, starting at £125,140, the government is looking to confiscate nearly half of everything they earn. Because of this, the ultra-wealthy are utterly obsessed with asset location and tax wrapper optimization. They do not invest out in the open, where their capital gains and dividends can be diluted by HMRC's newly increased dividend tax rates of up to 39.35%. Instead, they max out their £20,000 stocks and shares ISA allowances on day one of the tax year to guarantee that their compounding growth is legally shielded from the taxman forever. They aggressively utilize pension salary sacrifice and corporate structures to lower their adjusted net income, dropping themselves out of high tax brackets while simultaneously building massive private investment pots. They understand that a dollar or a pound saved on taxes has exactly the same economic value as a pound earned via investments, but with zero market risk. Pillar 3 is prioritizing capital velocity over static cash accumulation. One of the biggest mistakes average savers make is leaving massive sums of money sitting completely stagnant in traditional bank accounts. They look at a large number in their standard savings account, and it gives them a false sense of security. But in a modern economy with sticky inflation, a pile of cash sitting in a commercial bank is slowly but surely rotting away, losing its real-world purchasing power year after year. The top 1% do not stack static cash. They believe in capital velocity, the principle that money must be constantly moving into assets that produce cash flow or appreciate in value. The wealthy hold only enough liquid cash to cover their immediate, calculated emergency burn rate, usually 3 to 6 months of expenses. Every single remaining pound is systematically deployed into productive vehicles. They use low-cost global index funds to automatically capture the growth of the entire global economy, invest in commercial real estate that pays reliable rental income, or back private business ventures. They don't look for complex, secret investment schemes. They rely on the simple, boring, unstoppable power of compounding assets. They let global corporations and tangible real estate do the hard work of building their fortune while they focus entirely on acquiring more shares. Pillar 4 is using debt strictly as leverage, never as consumer liability. The average person uses debt to buy things that make them look rich, but actually keep them broke. They use high-interest credit cards, personal loans, and PCP car finance deals to purchase depreciating assets like luxury clothing, electronic gadgets, or vehicles that lose 20% of their value the moment they drive off the forecourt. They pay interest to the banks for things that are actively shrinking in worth. The top 1% look at debt through a completely different lens. They divide debt into two strict categories: toxic consumer liability and strategic asset leverage. They avoid toxic consumer debt with absolute ferocity. If they cannot buy a personal item outright with cash, they simply do not buy it. However, they are highly comfortable utilizing strategic, low-interest debt to accelerate their wealth building. They will borrow money against an existing asset, like a property portfolio or a liquid stock allocation, to buy another appreciating, cash-flowing asset. Because the return on the new asset is higher than the interest rate on the loan, they are using the bank's money to magnify their personal wealth. They understand that smart leverage is the ultimate financial supercharger, but it must only ever be used to buy assets that pay you back. Pillar 5 is shifting from selling time to purchasing equity and time arbitrage. This is the absolute core of the 1% philosophy. Average people earn a living by trading their finite time for money. If you are an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, or an executive, you might earn a fantastic hourly rate. But the moment you stop working, your income drops to zero. Your wealth is entirely bottlenecked by the 24 hours in a day. The wealthy realize that you can never achieve true freedom by selling your time. To become truly rich, you must decouple your income from your physical hours. You do this by acquiring equity. Ownership stakes in businesses, intellectual property, or automated systems that generate revenue independently of your presence. Furthermore, while the average person spends their money to buy luxury items, the top 1% use their money to buy back their time. They gladly pay for outsourcing, automated software, childcare, and professional services to eliminate administrative drag from their lives. By freeing up their schedule from low-value tasks, they create the mental space and the time required to focus on high-ticket, strategic wealth decisions. Time is the only non-renewable asset on Earth, and the ultimate status symbol of the 1% is having total control over how they spend every single hour of their day. Managing your money like the top 1% is completely within your reach right now. It does not require a multi-million-pound inheritance. It requires an immediate shift in execution. Stop managing your personal capital in a casual, reactive way. Begin looking at your personal finances as a serious business. Fight tax drag by fully maximizing your ISA and pension wrappers. Eliminate consumer debt completely. Move your money out of stagnant cash and drive it relentlessly into global index funds and productive equities. And prioritize building automated income streams that buy back your absolute most valuable asset, your time. If this deep dive into the financial playbook of the top 1% gave you the exact blueprint and motivation you needed to master your own portfolio, do me a massive favor. Hit that like button right now. It takes less than a second, but it powerfully helps the channel beat the algorithm and distribute high-quality, practical financial education to savers all across the country. Subscribe to The Money Mad to join our exceptional community of sharp, driven individuals who are actively conquering fiscal drag and mastering this changing economy. I want to hear your action plan, so drop a comment down below. What is the very first 1% financial habit you are going to implement in your personal life this week? Are you going to set up an automated payload to your stocks and shares ISA, look at restructuring your income to dodge a tax trap, or start aggressively wiping out your consumer liabilities? Let's get an incredibly smart conversation going in the comments section below. Don't forget to check out our other detailed videos on how to navigate the frozen tax bands or our step-by-step guides on how to analyze global index funds for beginners. Thank you so much for watching. Run your personal finances like a business, protect your compounding wealth, and stay money mad. I will see you all in the very next video.